Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat, and today I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated March book releases. So, March has so many releases. I don't know what is up, but it's just doing the most. It must be one of the big months for publishing. So I have 12 that made it to my best top that I want to talk about. And then I think there's double that amount that I'm leaving down below as honorable mentions. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So first up is from the US. It's called Girl in Ice by Erica Ferencik. So this says, Valerie Val Chesterfield is a linguist trained in the esoteric of disciplines, dead Nordic languages. Despite her successful career, she leads a sheltered life. And languishes in the shadow of her twin brother, an accomplished climate scientist stationed on a remote island off of Greenland. But Andy is gone, a victim of suicide, having willfully ventured unprotected into 50 below weather. Val is inconsolable and unbelieving. When Wyatt, Andy's fellow researcher in the Arctic, discovers a scientific impossibility, a young girl frozen in the ice who thaws out alive, speaking a language no one understands, Val is his first call. As she goes to help Wyatt interpret the girl's speech, she's secretly mustering her courage to find out and solve the mystery of her brother's death. Sounds so good. Sounds so good. I have so many questions about this, and also I've never read probably such a remote setting. An island off of Greenland. I've never read Greenland, I don't think, either. Sounds so interesting. I'm really, really looking forward to that one. And then after that is a weird one. This is Scattered All Over Earth, which is Japanese, by Yoko Tawada. And it's set in the not-too-distant future. Japan vanishes from the face of the earth and is now remembered as the land of sushi. Hiroko, its former citizen and a climate refugee, has a job teaching immigrant children in Denmark with her made-up language, Panska. As she searches for anyone who can still speak her mother tongue, she makes new friends. Her troupe travels to France, encountering an umami cooking competition, a dead whale, an ultranationalist called Breivik, unrequited love, robots, red herrings, uranium, and Andalusian matador. Episodic and mesmerizing scenes flash vividly along, and soon they're off to Stockholm. I honestly don't know. It just sounds, yeah, it says it's kind of Alice in Wonderland or Wind in the Willows. I went back and forth about whether this was an honorable mention or one I wanted to tell you about, but I really just couldn't get it out of my head. You know when premises just sound really unique? Yeah, so I hope it's executed well, the cover's great, and yeah, I hope that I'm bringing this to your attention. Alright, next after that is Sundial by Catriona Ward. This is an American one. So this is about a mother and her daughter. So Rob is the mother. All Rob wanted was a normal life. She almost got it. Except Rob fears for her oldest daughter, Callie, who collects tiny bones and whispers to imaginary friends. Rob sees a darkness in Callie, one that reminds her too much of the family she left behind. She decides to take Callie back to her childhood home in Sundial, deep in the Mojave Desert, and there she will have to make a terrible choice. And on the other side, Callie, the daughter, is worried about her mother. Her mother has begun to look at her strangely and speak of past secrets, and Callie fears that only one of them will leave Sundial alive. Okay, I want to know which one of you is evil. Are both of you evil? And also, if the mother's like, I think dark things might be occurring in my daughter, why would you take her back to the place where dark things happened in the past? Interesting, interesting. It's shelved as horror and thriller, and I'm absolutely down for that. Next is Our Wives Under the Sea, which is one of my top 2 anticipated releases of the year. I think I'm going to love it because it's by Julia Armfield, who wrote Salt Slow, which is one of my favorite short story collections of all time. So this is following Miri and Leah. Leah goes on a deep sea mission that ended in catastrophe. It soon becomes clear though that Leah is not the same. Whatever happened in that vessel, whatever it was they were supposed to be studying before they were stranded on the ocean floor, Leah has brought it back with her onto dry land and into their home. Oh my god. Just like I said before, I think in February there was a potential ocean spirit possession. I hope that this is yes, a demonic sea demon possession story. That would be amazing. Or I don't even know. Oh, what if it's a siren or a selkie possession story? Oh my god, what if the selkie stole her skin? Dark. Dark. Wow, I would read that book in a heartbeat. Anyway, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Okay, next up is The Clockwork Girl by Anna Mazzola. So it says, Paris 1750. And yes, I don't read historical, but there's a reason. Just wait for it, okay? In the mist of winter, as birds fall frozen from the sky, a new maid arrives at the home of a celebrated clockmaker and his clever, unworldly daughter. But rumors are stirring that Reinhardt's uncanny mechanical creations, bejeweled birds, silver spiders, are more than mere automata, that they might defy the laws of nature, perhaps even at the expense of the living. But Madeline is hiding a dark secret herself, and a dangerous purpose, to discover the truth of the clockmaker's experiments and record his every move in exchange for her own chance at freedom. Meanwhile, in the streets, children are quietly disappearing, and Madeline comes to fear that she has stumbled upon a greater conspiracy, one which might reach to the heart of Versailles. Yeah, so we have automata and missing children. I'm immediately thinking kind of like of The Golden Compass or, you know, something like that. And if it's in a historical setting, you know, so be it. So be it. And okay, next is, I guess, one that sounds very dark as well. Shocker. So this is following Scarlett, whose life is average, and her mom is really protective because she never knew her father. And wouldn't you know it, she finds out when the FBI knocks on her door and tells her, hey, sorry, your dad is the infamous serial killer, Jeffrey Robert Lake. He's dying and he will only give the names and locations of his victims to you, the daughter he hasn't seen since she was a baby. Sounds so good. Next is The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. This one sounded kind of weird in the Jeff Vandermeer realm, so I'm down. When COVID sweeps through New York, Jamie Gray is stuck as a den-to-den driver for food delivery apps. That is, until he meets an old friend, Tom, who works at what he calls an animal rights organization. Tom's team needs a last-minute grunt to handle things on their next field visit. Jamie, eager to do anything other than deliver food, signs on. What Tom didn't tell Jamie is that the animals his team cares for are not here on Earth. Not on our Earth, at least. In an alternate dimension, massive dinosaur-like creatures named Kaiju roam a warm and human-free world. They're the universe's largest and most dangerous panda, and they're in trouble. It's not just the Kaiju Preservation Society that's found its way to the alternate world. Others have too, and their carelessness could cause millions back on Earth to die. I just think it sounds like a wild, wild ride. Dinosaur-sized panda bears on an alternate Earth. And our main hero is a delivery driver. So it just sounds like a crazy time. Crazy time. Alright, and after that we have probably my other favorite on this list after Our Wives Under the Sea. This is What We Harvest by Anne Fraistat. And I've never read this author before. I just think that the premise sounds bonkers. Banana sandwich, if you will. So it says, Wren owes everything she has to her home, Hollow's End, a centuries-old, picture-perfect American town. Tourists travel miles to marvel at its miracle crops, including the shimmering, iridescent wheat of Wren's family farm. That is, until 5 months ago. That's when the quicksilver mercury blight first surfaced, poisoning the farms of Hollow's End one by one. It began consuming the crops, thick silver sludge bleeding from the earth. Next were the animals. Infected livestock and wild creatures alike staggered off into the woods by day, only to return at night, their eyes fogged white, leering from the trees. Then the blight came for the neighbors. Wren is among the last locals standing, and the blight has finally come for her too. Now, the only one she can turn to is the last person she wants to call, her ex Derek. They haven't spoken in months, but Wren and Derek still have one thing in common. Hollow's End means everything to them. Only there's much they don't know about their hometown and its renowned miracle crops, and they're about to discover that the miracles weren't free. Oh, sounds so good. You had me at iridescent crops. Iridescent anything, and I'm in. This really reminds me of the book about the corn that came out, was it by Rory Power? I'll put it up here if I can remember it. I'm really anticipating this so much. I hope it's as good as the synopsis sounds. And next up is a memory control, memory deletion book. So it says, people come from everywhere to forget. At the memory house in Tumbletree, Texas, Lucy's father can literally erase people's heartaches and tragic memories. Lucy can't wait to learn the family trade and help alleviate others' pain, and now at 16 she can, but everything is not as it seems. When Lucy practices memory taking on her dad, his memory won't come loose, and in the bit that she sees there's a flash of Mama on the day she died, tinged with guilt. Then Lucy wakes up the next morning with a bruised knee, a pocket full of sand, and no memory of what happened. She has no choice but to listen to Marco, a local boy she's always wondered about who seems to know more than he should. As Lucy and Marco realize there are gaps in their own memories, they team up to fill in the missing pieces, to figure out what's really going on in the town and uncover their own stolen history. But as the mysteries pile up, one thing becomes certain. There are some secrets people will do anything to keep. I think it sounds so good. I don't know if I mentioned, it's called Remember Me Gone by Stacy Stokes. Yeah, I just think it sounds absolutely amazing. And it says it's like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. For me, it reminds me of The Machine by James Smith, which is one of my favorite like memory deletion stories. Alright. So we have 3 left. This is Curfew by Jane Cowie, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it. It's kind of like Handmaid's Tale, but reversed. So it says, this is a near-future Britain in which women dominate workplaces, public spaces, and government, where the gender pay gap no longer exists and motherhood opens doors instead of closes them, where women are no longer afraid to walk home alone, to cross a dark parking lot, or to catch the last train, where all men are electronically tagged and not allowed out after 7 p.m. But the curfew hasn't made life easy for everyone. Sarah is a single mother who happily rebuilt her life after her husband was sent to prison for breaking curfew. Now he's about to be released and Sarah isn't happy at the reunion, given that she's the reason he was sent there. Her teenage daughter, Cass, hates living in a world that restricts boys like her best friend, Billy. Billy would never hurt anyone, and she's determined to prove it. Helen is a teacher at the local school. Secretly desperate for a baby, she's applied for a cohab certificate with her boyfriend, Tom, and is terrified that they won't get it. The last thing she wants is to have a baby on her own. These women don't know it yet, but one of them is about to be violently murdered. Evidence will suggest that she died late at night and that she knew her attacker. It couldn't have been a man because curfew tag is a solid alibi, isn't it? So I think, yeah, it just sounds like subversive in a very obvious way, but I'm still down for the thriller and mystery part of it. So the penultimate one is The Bone Orchard by Sarah A. Mueller. So it says, Charm is a witch and she is alone. She's the last of a line of conquered necromantic workers now confined within the yard of regrown bone trees at Orchard House and the secrets of their marrow. Charm is a whore and a madame. The wealthy and powerful of Beauregard come to her house to buy time with the girls who aren't real. Except on Tuesdays, which is when the Emperor himself lays claim to his mistress, Charm herself. But now, Charm is also the only person who can keep an empire together, as the Emperor summons her to his deathbed and charges her with choosing which of his awful, faithless sons will carry on the empire, by discovering which one is responsible for his own murder. She must choose her dead Emperor's will or the whispers of her own ghosts, justice for the empire or her own revenge. Sounds dope. It's by Tor. All the dopest books are usually by Tor. Yeah, I can't wait. Sounds absolutely freaking wonderful. And the last one is a complete departure from everything we've talked about. This is, yeah, I'm looking at them all, I'm looking at them all, I'm looking at them all. Yeah, they're all dark or weird, and then this is the only one that's sugar sweet. I need like one sugary sweet one, and this sounds just brilliant. So this is Ever After by F.T. Lukens. And they wrote an Arthurian legend that is subversive. So it says, Eric hadn't thought much about what would happen after he completed the prophecy that said he was destined to save the kingdom from its evil ruler. So now that he's finally managed to behead the evil king, he and his ragtag group of quest companions are at a bit of loss for what to do next. Now Eric is stuck as king, a role that comes with a magical catch. Choose a spouse by your 18th birthday or wither away to die. With his 18th birthday only 3 months away and only Matt in on the secret, Eric embarks on a desperate bid to find a spouse to save his life, starting with his quest companions. But his attempts at wooing his friends go painfully and hilariously wrong until he discovers that love might have been in front of him all along. So, like, obviously, I hope it's gonna be Matt. That would be most excellent. This just sounds so cute. So those are all of the ones that I wanted to bring to your attention. Obviously there are more honorable mentions down below that I didn't want to get all the way into for sake of brevity, but I am really looking forward to all of these books. Let me know which ones you are, or also March releases that I didn't mention. Please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Lots of love. Bye!